This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview.
Well, joining us today is Malcolm Palais, the Executive Chairman, and Eddie Travier, the CEO of Coinsilium. Thank you both very much for joining us today. It's been a while since we spoke to both of you, a while since we've spoken about Coinsilium, but it's good to be having a catch-up today. So how are you both? Malcolm, first of all, how are you doing?
Yes, very well, thank you. Very well. It's all coming together now, and we were expecting it for a little while, but I think we're in gear fully in gear for 2024. Thanks.
Okay, good. Well, I'm sure we'll be learning a bit more about that today. And of course, Eddie, how are things with you?
All good. Thank you, Mark.
All
Thank
good.
you for having us here.
No problem. I'm looking forward to talking today. So, I mean, really what we're going to do is you've got a presentation we're going to go through. I know you released a market update this week on investments and the portfolio. Want to expand a little bit on the relevance of that and run through your presentation there just to really help, I think, investors understand what Coin are doing, almost sort of set the scene, like you say, for 2024, given as well, of course, the perhaps the more risk-on environment that we're finding ourselves in here in an election year. Not to be too conspiratorial about things, but it's unlikely we're going to have a massive market crash during an election year. So it's probably a risk-on year, and of course, Bitcoin breaking that 50,000 mark again. I mean, first of all, Malcolm, just very quickly, your thoughts on the sort of environment, the crypto environment at the moment?
Well, it's a bit deja vu for us. We've gone through a few of these cycles. I'm not trying to be blasé about it at all. It's very, very exciting. It's long overdue or long expected. You can't rush these things. The cycle takes as long as it needs to. We were anticipating and we were planning for the last 6 months for this kind of breakthrough that we had, certainly with the advent of the ETFs that have been approved and launched, and that will become more apparent. We'll probably have some more conversations about that as a separate topic. But of course, being in this space, particularly sentiment flows through to companies that operate in this space, and the price of crypto is always the catalyst.
Yes, indeed. Well, Eddie, I mean, before we start, we've got the presentation to go through, and I know then we've got questions that have been sent in from investors or people interested in the story, which we'll get onto at the end. Eddie, I wonder if I can get perhaps a comment from you about how you're seeing things on the Bitcoin and crypto point of view.
Well, I think it's as Malcolm was saying, we were expecting to go into this cycle. There was a little bit of surprise in terms of the fact that it comes a little bit earlier, because we are used to the Bitcoin halving cycle, and that's every 4 years, and that's not really due until end of next month, maybe early April. So it means that the market is kind of anticipating the lower supply of Bitcoin on a daily basis that's going to come. So I think good news for now, and hopefully the fundamentals stay positive.
Good. Okay, excellent. Well, if we go through your presentation, and if I bring that in here, and I'll effectively hand over to you two to take us through that in as short a time as possible, please. Try and keep an eye on the clock. 15 minutes would be a good time. But I'll hand over to you, and then we'll come back for some questions.
Thanks, Mark. And Eddie's going to run through most of it, I think, and I'm going to sort of add bits as and when. And Eddie's much more concise than I am anyway, so hopefully we'll get through in your targeted timescale. So I'll if I can just lead in. We have a disclaimer on this. It's probably too small to read on the screen, but we've also have this presentation on the website under the presentation section, and hopefully people will be able to download that. We announced on Monday we gave an update to the market on some of our investments, and also linked to the presentation. So this presentation is going to be in the context of the updates that we put out on Monday.
Okay.
And I'll hand over to Eddie now, if you can take it from here.
Sure. Thank you, Malcolm. So, Coinsilium has been an investor and advisor, and now more of a venture builder, specifically in this area of Web3. And now there is a convergence with AI as well. AI is going to permeate through all the technology sectors, really. So one big part of our of Coinsilium has been the investments. We have been investing now for several years, and more in terms of up to date elements of what we're doing. We have some certain investments that are coming that are going to be more relevant in the near future in terms of possible milestones and events. In terms of the income that we have generated is quite interesting because one of our more active years has been 2018 in terms of advisory. So usually advisory, we earn revenues from projects that are actually going to issue tokens, that either are in the process of issuing tokens or have just issued tokens. And in that sense, we have been able to, until now, to build our what we call a cryptocurrency treasury from that activity and from the revenues generated there. So this could be a good year for Coinsilium in terms of advisory, because we are possibly starting at the start of what we call a bull run or a crypto hype cycle. And we see already more interest, but we will go into more details further in the presentation about that. So yes, moving on. Yes, I will go quickly over the limitations, but I think the phase where we believe we are in now is that our outlook is that Web2 is now almost peaking, in the sense that these applications have already reached such a large, broad adoption in terms of clients all over the world, and really billions of dollars of revenues if you look at, for example, social media for the major players out there. But there are issues with those platforms. Hyper centralized data, numerous privacy breaches. There is a lack of user empowerment. There's a misalignment between the users and these platforms. There's a lack of monetization opportunities. So we believe that we are at a stage where there needs to be more competition. There needs to be alternatives, and that's where Web3 is coming into play. So Web3 is meant to respond to these issues while opening the whole sector to become more competitive and away from the current monopolistic structures. And if we're going to be educating the market about this in the next few months. But if you want to know more, please look at our presentation, which has gone more into details about this. So the market opportunity obviously is key to Coinsilium in terms of what can we achieve in this space. So in this really huge market that is social networks, Web3 is already carving out its niche, and we hope to get our own sector, our own target out of the total addressable market, which is planned to reach 100 billion plus by 2033, but it's already $12 billion. Well, it has been $20 billion in 2023. So we are aiming to focus on a niche in that sector, which is Web3 social network, and we will explain further in the presentation. So that's the leadership team. We have here with us Malcolm Pally, Executive Chairman. Sorry, we went a bit fast. Malcolm Pally, Executive Chairman, who is based in Gibraltar, but often in London as well, and is a co-founder of Coinsilium. We work together. I'm Eddie Travi. I'm based in Singapore. I'm originally from France. I've been living, working in Asia for a long time. And then we have Federica Velardo. She's a legal counsel, which is very convenient for us because it means we don't have to rely on outside counsel, which is more expensive in general for companies. We have Wayne Almeida, who is also a non-executive director, like Federica Velardo. Wayne Almeida is in Gibraltar, has been based there, has been working on company administration. So it's very useful for us in that region and where we have our offices. And we also have a CFO now. Now we had been profit working with us for the last 2 years. Very important, obviously, because we are, investing, and same can be said about Federica in terms of we mainly make a lot of deals both on investments and advisory, and obviously we need legal counsel as well for that on a regular basis. So in terms of the portfolio highlights, these are the investments that I've been made in the last few years. 2021 from Greengage, and mostly 2022 for the others. Byzant is more recent endeavor. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over each in the next few slides. So we can move to the next slide, please.
Yeah, I would say, just to jump in, that when we talk about each investment, it is in the context of the news that we announced on Monday, and particularly the update, because we've talked about each one individually, but there's certainly some very significant developments with each one. So I'll let Eddie run through them and perhaps add some comments as we go along.
Yes, Yellow, we feel it's a very ambitious project. It's one we like very much because we like the team, very strong team with a background in traditional finance and in crypto. Co-founder has been also co-founder of one of the major cryptocurrency market makers in the space. And very ambitious in the sense that they have understood and highlighted the issues with current cryptocurrency trading venues. And Yellow is kind of a response, a deep tech response to that. And we believe that if everything goes to plan, it can represent a very exciting opportunity for all investors in this space. In terms of the more recent news, well, the good news is that they have updated their product roadmap. They have already gone into testnet mode, which is an important milestone for any project in blockchain, and usually the path towards mainnet, which will come later. And at the same time, they have been a bit more precise now in terms of when the Yellow token public launch and token listing could occur, which is now slated for Q2 2024. So we're getting close, and for us it's very important because we have made an investment into a SAFT, which is a simple agreement for future tokens, and that means that our investments will be be able to value this investment on a kind of mark-to-market basis as soon as the token is issued and listed on the market. Malcolm, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, it's as I said, we can't understate the significance of that, because everything that is valued in terms of future tokens is always at cost. Once there's a market price for the tokens, then hopefully if it performs, because that's what the chance you take is that this going to hit the spot. So people will be able to follow the price on the market, and then they'll know what the value of our investment's worth. So this is we've been waiting for this for a long time. Our investment was in 2022, and as with all things, it takes a little longer than you initially expected, but we're getting to the point where we hopefully will be able to start seeing some value and a potential liquidity event subject to investment vesting terms as well. So Eddie, do you want to?
The next one is Silta. Yeah. So Silta, also very interesting, also very strong team. They're going to a market which is a huge market, infrastructure finance, but they're going into a very specific aspect, which is due diligence leveraging artificial intelligence. That's very unique, and that has can be extremely beneficial for the projects and for the companies and the funds financing those projects, because it can really accelerate the whole due diligence process. So we believe they are going into a good direction. A very significant announcement that they have made recently, and which we recently passed on to the market as well, is the fact that they have a top 10 global infrastructure development bank investing in the company, which is very interesting because it's also a strategic partnership. And that partnership can help build a climate financing marketplace, which it's as well a very hot and trendy topic. And in addition, which is powered by AI, which is going to really help the companies there, and also probably set some standards in this very specific area, which is AI powered due diligence for very large projects.
Okay. If I can just add there, the again, like Yellow, the thing that is always a very good vote of confidence is when you get significant players getting involved. And whilst they haven't been able to name at this point who their investor and partner is, they have qualified this as being, a top 10 infrastructure bank. So from that point of view, we're very excited. It's still very early days, but nonetheless, that's a really significant vote of confidence, and we're very, very keen to see how they develop and move forward. So it de-risks the investment from our point of view, and we have an option now to which we can exercise in up till 14th of September to take a more material chunk of their shares, which we're obviously more confident in doing with announcements like this.
Yes, so we have also invested, back in 2021 in Greengage. Greengage is a digital finance pioneer, which is already providing e-money account services to SMEs, mainly in the UK. The interesting part that we have recently announced is the fact that they have signed an agreement with a regulated partner, and that agreement will help them, will enable them to launch USD currency accounts, which has a potential to broaden their client base. And they're already running, Swiss franc and Swedish krona, Canadian dollar. So very, very interesting for them to be able to do so. This is, this confirms the fact that Greengage is the type of, let's say, fintech companies, but also dealing with a crypto friendly environment, and dealing with clients that are either in the crypto space or want to go into the crypto space. And that's why we were interested in Greengage, because we can see that there are really multiple opportunities for the traditional finance and the crypto finance sector to work together and also to grow together. But at the same time, at the moment, they are still quite divided, despite the ETFs and all that. So we are looking for opportunities where we see that bridge, because we think that this can open the doors to quite lucrative investments.
Yeah, I'd just add that being a crypto-friendly bank, well, they're not a bank, they're an e-money service like the neobanks that we see. Even Revolut isn't considered a bank. So these tech companies that provide banking services are growing, and traditional banking is kind of moving towards more sort of branded, that they've got dominant positions in the market, and their brand names, like the big banks, are well known. But really, the growth is in areas like Greengage, who are addressing a particular niche, and that niche is it's not just the crypto companies, but that's a big market in itself. But is any company that struggles to get banking, which a lot of companies do. We've got we got in a good level. Banks are, or anyone in this space is looking at sort of a land grab, trying to get as much many clients as they can and make them and grow their base. And our investment at the last valuation point, which was when we announced our interims. The valuation resulted in a 25% increase on our initial investment. So it's still early days, but it's de-risked a bit, and we're confident in their growth as well.
Yeah, sure. GGS or GGs. So this is a more of a Web3 type project, in the sense that actually gaming and Web3 go very well together, because gaming for, esports and gaming are sectors where players have been used to buy or acquire or earn some kind of virtual assets, and there have been already inside games many marketplaces for these virtual assets, skins, etc. And so naturally players are used to deal with virtual assets, and now the Web3 sector has seen this as a potential gateway to these millions of players. I mean, the gaming industry represents is huge. It's larger than music and entertainment and movies combined. It's one of the largest markets in the world in terms of consumers. And so we have decided to invest in a company that is very active in Latin America, that is helping AAA games, so major studios in this space, to actually go and leverage GGS experience. The team is very experienced in esports, and their 140 million users that they can reach in that region. And so they are selling services for these Web3 game studios to actually be able to reach out to this market and enter the Latin American market. And the fact that they are quite quite good and much more mature Web3 games is helping them a lot at this time, and they feel that 2024 should be a good year for their business.
Yeah, I'll just add the from the news that we released on Monday. This is sort of a general update, but we were quite impressed by their latest partner, which is effectively one of the most anticipated games in Web3 gaming, and the size of the market that they can address means that they actually are attracting the big names in there. So we like the guys. They're very serious and they're very experienced, quite young, but they would be in this space. And also I think we'll be able to talk a lot more about what they're doing, and again, importantly, the other investors in GG's is Boost, which is Adam Draper's incubator, and Ripio Ventures and Origami, who are big
Orange
names.
DAO.
Oh, so yeah, there's Orange DAO. Now we've had to change that in there. Are big players in the space. So again, it's the credibility aspect in that one as well. I mean, Indorse is I think this is in there because they're an investment that we made in 2017, and we've subsequently added to that. We work very closely with them, but they can be seen as our tech partners, anything to do with the tech and the build. But the details of the investment are there. They're pretty well known. We've been working with them for a long time. We get on very well with them, and we're sort of moving forward, which Eddie's going to talk very briefly about Byzant project that we're working with them on as well.
Yeah, so Indorse are building the whole technology stack for Byzant, using Lens protocol, using the Polygon blockchain, which is an L2 on Ethereum. And the idea here is kind of a response to what I was saying earlier about Web2, is that Web3 offers these opportunities, these possibilities for users in terms of monetization, in terms of being able to have their interests aligned with the platforms in a censorship less, or in a freer, more transparent environment. So again, Byzant, a social media, a wallet SDK, which is already in mainnet, a decentralized ad network, which is going to be one of the first elements out there, in the market and the NFT marketplace. You can find out more on our other presentations that you can find on Coinsilium website, where we explain more in details about this ambitious project.
Yeah. So this is just wrapping that up. This is the venture building side of our kind of enterprise. We are partners with other players that are working on this project. So it's a kind of a consortium, if you like, and this will be it's one of these watch these spaces things where we'll be talking more about it and more about our activity in there, more about our partners as this evolves. But it's our main sort of operations outside of our investments.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit about what the Byzant social media,
the look and feel of the
that's how it'll look
and feel of the platform.
So I was going to say with Byzant it's much more about watch this space.
Okay.
This is an example of one of the awareness initiatives that we are undertaking. We announced in our AGM statement that one of the priorities for Coinsilium is getting more awareness, market and investor awareness, as in the blockchain crypto ecosystem market awareness, which is why we sponsored this particular podcast series called When Shift Happens, which gives us a platform for our investees and our advisory clients to be interviewed by a very well-known kind of podcast chap in the Kevin, who's in the space, and it's sort of another benefit that for people to work with us and to even be where we invest in them, we give them a profile amongst and they sit amongst very significant people in the crypto industry. So it's kind of a benefit for working with us as an advisory client. And also if we invest in the company, we give them the opportunity to go on the podcast as well as one of the main sponsors in that. And so we'll be also undertaking quite a few more awareness initiatives, which we'll be looking to roll out over the course of this year, all part of the intention of actually getting the Coinsilium brand and name further out there than it is right now.
Okay.
This is the share price. It's a little bit out of date as from today and Friday. I think our share prices started to respond more recently. So, but nonetheless, you can see from there the a small spike. But if you looked at one of the sort of longer term charts, you will see some more significant spikes and price volatility, which is all a lot to do with the space, but also to do with the fact that our share price has historically tracked the price of Bitcoin and crypto, and obviously that goes in cycles as well. So that wraps up the presentation side. Hopefully that's helpful. Please let us know if you have any further questions. That's the email address for that. But I think I understand we've had a few questions that you had sent in, Mark, which Eddie and I will be happy to address now. So if I
Indeed, yes, there's about 10, I think, or about that came in there.
Right.
Yeah, which is quite a few, isn't it? Which suggests sort of interest in the company. I mean, just on the presentation, that's nice to go through everything there, get a sense of the investments as well as the sort of, we might call the things you're developing as well, perhaps a direct, with Byzant there. And it'd be nice to do a bit more of a feature on perhaps each one of them, just understand exactly what their use cases are and then Coin's exposure to them and the potential upside there. But there's a nice sort of snapshot of everything that's going on. That was very nice. Got a very good idea there of lots of plates. Sounds like, Malcolm, which is nice, isn't it? It's what you want in this environment. But yes, let's go on to some of the questions then, because that's one of the main reasons why we're here. So I'll effectively go through them as they were received. So the first one I have is there seems to have been a historic correlation between Coinsilium share price and the Bitcoin price. Why do you think the Coinsilium share price has historically tracked the price of Bitcoin, particularly as Coinsilium is not a Bitcoin fund?
Yeah, it's a I get that question quite a lot. But I mean, historically, it always has, and I think that there are. Whilst we don't sort of claim to be, well, we're certainly not a fund. We do work in the blockchain space very closely, and of course, in a lot of cases, we get paid for our work that we do in crypto, as Eddie explained in one of the opening slides. That period in 2018 where we did a lot of advisory work. We also got paid in crypto, and we recycle that crypto into other cryptos, mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that has paid for a lot of our costs, and so we can generate revenue in that space, and we're also known in the space. So I think that historically it's not completely unfounded that we should track the price of crypto. There is some relevance to it. It's not purely just because of the name coin. Eddie, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Well, I think that we have seen now for, we've been in this space now for about 10 years. We have seen that every time there is the price of Bitcoin goes up with the interest overall in the sector. So I would just say that that's a general kind of correlation as well. It's not just Coinsilium share price, it's overall valuations go up, etc. So we have seen that there is a correlation overall between the price and the interest in the blockchain sector as well.
Yeah, indeed. It's that sort of the all boats rise kind of scenario when the feeling is good in the crypto environment. Then companies who are well involved in that do also benefit from that. Okay, well, just following on from that, there's a question here which is regards sort of the price performance in the past. So it's going back to sort of early 2018, where the Coinsilium price rose sort of 17 times from bottom to peak in a few months, and then 27 times in early 2021, when the Bitcoin price rose to circa 15,000 in early 18, and then 65,000 in early 21. So that's again the correlation there. The Bitcoin price has obviously, as we know, pulled back to around sort of 17,000 late last year, but has risen to nearly 50,000. In fact, I think as of today, it is at that point now, and maybe above 50,000. So there's two questions here. Where do you think the Bitcoin price might run to in this upward cycle? It's always nice to get a prediction on record. And are you expecting the Coinsilium price to track the rising Bitcoin price as it has done in the past?
Okay, I'll
prediction
start.
Time, Malcolm. Prediction time.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I think Eddie kind of is possibly a little bit more cautious, but maybe not. I don't know. Look, Bitcoin is in uncharted territory, and it's in a good way. We've now got a approval for ETFs. It's turned out to be the biggest ETFs, the most successful ETF launches in the US of all time. And if you take sort of benchmarks of 5% of the global population had exposure to crypto prior to that, now a significant proportion of US investors, if not all, can buy ETFs. It's multiplied the amount of people who have access to Bitcoin by a significant factor. And that's showing up in demand now, because the one thing about Bitcoin is it's limited in supply. So I think with those fundamentals and the sentiment, and obviously it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy once the price starts moving. I think this cycle, without being too kind of outlandish, is certainly got a higher potential target than 100,000. And I think people will be absolutely surprised at where it could possibly end up. And of course, the other thing is that if people start looking at the tops and say, is this the top, and calling the tops, they're going to have to consider if they take the money off the table, are they going to get back in at a lower level, or where they're going to put their money in. So we're in uncharted territory. put a figure up there, and I wouldn't disagree. It's simple as that. I'd say within reason, it's crazy, and obviously that's my side. I think that definitely we're seeing the price of Coinsilium track that, because just if for no other reason, we earn revenues in crypto. We have a treasury which has got crypto, so the value of that goes up. The value of the crypto Bitcoin goes up. The value of our treasury goes up. So it's not a sort of a wild kind of guess or estimation. There's some logic to that as well. So yes, we do expect our price to maybe not track, because there'll be up and down, but certainly it'll be in the slipstream, shall we say. Eddie, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I agree that we're going to see. I mean, I don't know if we have to say a number, but yeah, I think possibly in the 150K to 200K level in this cycle for Bitcoin is possible.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad Eddie put a number on it. Malcolm, I know you shied away there from actually putting a number on it, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, just thinking of how coin perhaps does move around that price of Bitcoin there. I mean, what was coin trading at? Around 1.5p for much of last year, and then we've seen it move up a bit less than that. Yeah, and it's moved up towards the end of last year, but then sort of settled around that 175. I know it's up recently, just these last few days. Do you think that's because, well, because of the Bitcoin price, but also, perhaps just some perhaps new life coming to the story as well with some of the things news you've been putting out recently?
I think we released the news on Monday at the right time, which you can't always get right, but we certainly saw the price moving at the same time, and the positive environment is definitely a factor, and of course the other thing about our stock is that there's not a whole heap in sort of loose hands. A lot of the people who've bought shares in Coinsilium are in it for the long game, which we are as well. So it's not saying that they're not going to take profits, because if there's an opportunity to, people will. But also at these prices, when we've been depressed for so long, I think people are those that are still holding are probably more inclined to hold for a little bit longer.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think it's important as well for investors to understand, exactly what Coinsilium does as a business. And of course, you touched on some of the elements there in the presentation there, but just one point I want to pick up on just briefly. You mentioned Web3 quite a lot in this Web3 environment. Could you perhaps just run through briefly why that's so important, why you see it as a commercial opportunity for Coinsilium? I think maybe I've got two questions here. What is Web3, first of all, and why are you so heavily involved in it?
Okay, I'm going to give a brief intro, and then I'll let Eddie expand on that. So look, Web3, we talk about that a lot. We did sort of kind of morph into it, but ultimately Web3 is enabled by blockchain. It's the next iteration of the internet. There's a lot of aspects to it which will sort of fall under that banner. So we felt that rather than saying we're dealing in each and every aspect of crypto, blockchain, AI, whatever, all these things can be incorporated under the Web3 banner. So this is why we've chosen that direction. But ultimately, it is the next iteration of the internet, which is going to be a decentralized network rather than central platform. So that's what it is. And Eddie will probably expand a little bit more about the what the drivers for that. It's still very early stage, but we see our opportunity there as a company. We see the commercial opportunity as being early movers, leveraging the experience and the knowledge that we have, and also our exposure and our experience in the blockchain technology space. And because you can't, this is a commercial marriage of blockchain and real world solutions, particularly with the area that we've chosen is social networks. Eddie, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, the as you said, the terminology. I mean, it's the term Web3 has been used more and more over the last couple of years to encompass blockchain and crypto, and as well this the original idea of the term, which is, you know, after the next iteration of the internet overall, and now that we feel that, well, the market feels that blockchain and the next iteration of the internet are very much intertwined. Web3 has become the umbrella term for all blockchain projects,
Okay.
most blockchain projects. Yeah, it includes financing, it includes social network, and includes infrastructure projects and so forth. Yeah.
I mean, Malcolm, you said there about being early movers in this space and wanting to leverage the opportunity here. So, I mean, and obviously the presentation there, a lot of the upside is either through shares in the companies, or indeed you've got these. I wrote it down. What was the SAFT? Yeah, that's the token, the token option almost, where you get tokens when certain milestones are hit. I imagine. But I mean, if you were to pick an investment in the portfolio as perhaps a favorite, what would it be in sort of in terms of potential returns here?
It's, well, public space. I don't want to pick out your favorite. It's like being asked to pick out your favorite children, isn't it? You know, and then they're listening to you and hearing what you're saying. But look, we've used the presentation to showcase some highlights. So I think you can assume that those highlights are the ones that we think are very compelling and the most compelling for investors to watch, because we believe those will be drivers for our growth. So if that's the question of, you know, as to what our favorites are, I mean, if you take Silta, Greengage, GG's, and Yellow, that those four are, I think, the ones that we see the most potential for development and growth in the near to medium term.
Okay.
And for the reasons that we've sort of run through in the presentations, you know, we could talk about them all day. And we will be, in our sort of initiatives that we'll be talking more about each individual one. We hope to be able to showcase each individual one. We did an event with Silta and Greengage at Aquis Exchange last year, and we hope to be able to give a platform for each of these investments, each of these companies to talk for themselves, and also we'll be sort of helping them deliver that message. So we want more investors to understand the reasons why we believe these investments are interesting, compelling, and, you know, exciting for us as well. I don't know if that answers your question, or if there's anything else, Eddie, you wanted to add.
No, I think what people should look as well as the sectors, you know, subsectors in where we invest. You know, we all know that crypto trading has been extremely lucrative for a lot of companies between, you know, since the early days of blockchain. The biggest companies are usually related somehow to crypto trading. So that gives you an idea of the sectors, and then you have the sectors that are starting and we hope are going to be huge, like gaming, like Web3 social networks. So basically, we can also look at, and our investors and our investors can also look at the different sectors and strategy in terms of trying to have a piece of each sector and having an investment into each, so that we can profit from those.
Okay, good. Well, if I move on to some of the other questions that we've got here, this one is, I like the look of the Byzant project here. It seems very ambitious. How well funded is the company to deliver on this project?
I'll just address that very quickly, because we've got to make that perhaps a little bit more clearer in future. In essence, Byzant is a project that we're advising. Although we are sort of part of the founding team that is putting this together, and the syndicate of players, which will become more apparent. The idea is that we will get this to a point with our partners where it's a standalone venture and will be funded outside of Coinsilium, simply because of the nature of these decentralized projects, they ultimately become the stakeholders, become the token holders. So Coinsilium will receive a a an amount of tokens for its role, as the other partners will, as founder seed investors will. So it's not, and I want to stress this, is not something that is a burden on Coinsilium or its shareholders
Okay.
from the initial stages. And it was set up that way because, you know, we can't own a decentralized project. We can add value to it, and we can help come up with the ideas and help develop it. And with Indorse as our technical partner, they're likewise, you know, going to be receiving tokens for their role. But there's an amount of tokens that is set, that is going to be for the team generally, and but the majority of the tokens go to investors in the project.
Okay.
Anything, Eddie, to add to that, or is that clear?
No, that's fine.
Okay, good, good.
Okay.
Well, the next question here is, what was the rationale, or what is the rationale behind not proceeding at this time with the Indorse share acquisition?
Okay, yeah. We announced, I think in January, that we announced last year we had entered into heads of terms with Indorse to acquire a material amount of shares, taking our shareholding from 10% to 25%, and this was going to be paid for in shares in Coinsilium, and this was a material amount. I think it was the value of the Coinsilium shares at that time was well, it was set at 3p, but even that was higher than the share price was then. It was a material transaction, which was going to, the intention was to bring both parties closer together from a shareholding point of view. What transpired in the interim from signing the heads of terms was the intense amount of work that was being required from both our side and also from the Indorse side on the work on Byzant, and the kind of the amount of time that was needed for the due diligence and all the process that go into the acquisition, any acquisition and any transaction. We both parties agreed that the timing was going to be very difficult for us to actually achieve, and we didn't want that transaction to drag on or take away from the work that the urgent work that needed to be done with Byzant, which the technical teams and Eddie and his team are focusing on as well. And we thought it didn't make the decision lightly, but what's important to note is that we did say in our announcement, when we announced that the transaction wasn't going to go ahead, was that we do intend to revisit this at a later stage, and that's still the case. Both parties would like to find ways to actually bring us closer together because of the mutually complementary skills that we have, and there may even, with a more positive market environment, be a more conducive way to do it that could be better for Indorse, better for Coinsilium, and better for our shareholders in a positive market environment.
Okay. Thank you for that. Another question here, it's regarding the OTC listing that I know we discussed that before, and it was quite a big thing. I know we wanted to get exposure in the United States there, but the question is, have you seen any benefits to the company's dual listing on the OTC here?
Yes, in a word. This is, I think we've been listed nearly coming up 4 years. This is our 4th year. The key to it is that they're very different markets, and they function in very different ways. So the Aquis is a quote-driven market where you have market makers who put a quote up. This is what they'll buy at. This is what they'll sell at, and orders have to go through market makers, and that's our home market. That's what qualifies us to have a cross-trading facility on OTCQB, and every trade has to settle on Aquis. What OTC brings is exposure to US investors and in a way that would otherwise not be available. So if we wanted to access US investors, and let's be clear that this sector is, there's a lot more appetite for crypto, and also a better understanding, without being, well, a lot more people there to understand it, and there's a lot more experts there, and there's a lot more money there. That's something you can't deny. And so we did want to get to it, but OTC offers us a way of doing that in such a way that we don't have to report to SEC, which is an important factor, which brings you into a whole area of issues. So as a foreign company, that's what our ticker on OTC's CINGF. The F always designates a foreign company. So what it means is that there aren't market makers on OTC. There are kind of brokers, and each broker is prepared to buy and sell at certain prices. And the broker is often placing orders from their clients, so they come directly in there. So this is why you'll see wide spreads when there's no interest or little interest, and the broker is buying them for their own account, or when an order comes in. And I think our share price finished on Tuesday, on Monday night, sorry. It finished 100% up or something like that, but that was because of the large spread. But in essence, it works for us when we're in these cycles, because you'll see so much activity going on in the US, and so few stocks available in the US in this space, that people pick up on us. We had people doing videos on Coinsilium in the last cycle, and it's very hot and cold in the US. So and the last spike in our share price was actually driven from the US market. A huge surge in demand came in for stock there. It couldn't be settled in the US, and they came to Aquis to do it, and that kicked it off, because there aren't that many. There's only 195 million shares in issue in Coinsilium, and most of those are held very tightly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And it's CINGF is the ticker for the North American investors there.
The bottom line is, yes, there is value there, and we're very happy with it. And we're also, I think we're going to make more of we're going to take advantage of this situation and do some specific marketing in the US as well. So watch this space.
Okay, good to hear. Okay, there's a couple more questions to get through here. The next one: are you concerned about regulatory issues with cryptocurrency and other areas in the environment in which you operate, the whole kind of crypto space?
I think I'll let Eddie answer that one.
Well, I mean, yes, regulations has always been an issue in this space, because obviously from the beginning, and then the other cryptocurrencies are dealing with money, finance, AML issues can come up, etc. So the impact for Coinsilium is not directly on us, because we mainly invest, so we don't have a direct implication in any kind of financial trade directly, but we have investment in the space. So obviously we have a very clear exposure through our investments. But until now, we've never had any. Our investees never had any issues. But as soon as you go more into the financial side, we have to be careful. We have to rely on the investees' legal help, legal expertise, and so forth. So yeah, regulation has always been central in this space, and we are very careful in companies where there could be regulatory troubles that mean that the investment can be at risk in any way. So we do our own due diligence, and until now we've been doing fine with that.
Okay.
Would I just add the other area where regulation seems to be sort of we try to stay clear of is certainly in the UK. There's some very, very clear rules coming in about who can buy crypto products, who can they can be sold to, and a lot of the FCA have got sort of quite a clear vision of what they want to do there to protect investors. But as a publicly listed company, we have to often make it clear that we don't offer products or crypto products directly to investors, and we want to avoid, and we'll always avoid being seen, as being sort of a proxy for the crypto market in that way. We're a venture company, an investor. People are buying shares in our company, but there's always a kind of a default position from a lot of from the regulatory perspective as to this company's in the crypto space, but we have to be very clear about what we're doing. So you would never see us launching a retail focused crypto product, for instance, and that would be kind of the worst thing we could do. So that's we sidestep anything we can that sort of looks like it's going to pose any regulatory issues.
Okay, good. Well, there's the last two questions we have here. How or where do you see the blockchain industry 2 years from now, and what will Coinsilium look like by that stage?
Okay, I think Eddie, you're the one with the vision.
Well, interestingly, the cycles kind of repeat themselves, as we have been saying throughout this interview. What happens is that usually every time there is a kind of a crypto winter, which basically means the prices of crypto are depreciating, there is always a renewed interest in actually building something, or at least we kind of see more activity where developers, projects, companies are building, are building. So I think we understand the cycle, and that's why, in a way, we have invested when we did, in the sense that, even if we couldn't really exactly, foresee when the crypto winter would hit, we know that during that time, whatever happens after a bull run, like it happened in 2021 and part of 2022, there will be a stage where people are, projects are building. And I think that was the case. And that's why now in 2024, we start seeing that those projects coming with potential, public launch, token issuance, mainnet, and so forth. So kind of, getting to maturity there in terms of reaching out to the consumers, the users, or whoever their clients may be. So I think in the next 2 years, we continue on this cycle where as we were saying, the crypto prices may continue to go up. If they do, then more interest. And if there is more interest, then there are more, these projects can attain a certain level of maturity. So what could happen is basically that in the next 2 years, of course, we have the new type of narrative. So 2021, we had NFTs, we had DeFi, and towards the end, AI started coming. I think obviously AI is going to be part of this cycle. NFTs in a way, but in a kind of a different way, with more use cases. And we see new trends coming. We see real world assets coming, which fits with some of our, and we see new sorts of decentralization coming, and hopefully as well social media, which is decentralized social media, which is coming as well. Okay. So I think in the next 2 years, hopefully, we more maturity in those sectors, and again, our investments are in a good position to do well and have reached some kind of either leadership or a good client base.
Okay, and I mean, how will shareholders in the company see value being generated? I mean, you've obviously got the different elements of the advisory, the venture building, the investing. Presumably, it's some crystallization of some of these investments, and then for an increase in the asset value. Is that fair to say? I mean, what's the kind of win for shareholders?
Okay, well, don't forget, Eddie and I are material shareholders. We're not token shareholders. I mean, token in the sense that it's just a lip service to it. We've always supported the company in investment rounds, and we are, as founders, have material stake. So we've always looked at this company as our vehicle, in the sense that we will get our payday at some point from our shareholding in the company. not from sort of as a lifestyle job. And certainly at my age, you know, you don't want a lifestyle job. It's not, you know, you pass the stage where you can get the most out of your lifestyle. We're in this to grow the business and to actually see, you know, what the growth that we would hope to be able to deliver to investors as well. So I think, you know, you get value from, as you know, investing and exits, and potentially that's the value crystallization side. We've got two ways of doing this with in the area we are. One is through you know, if it's shares in a company and they grow, then we get the growth out of that. And also the investments that are token related have a sort of a shorter life cycle, because, you know, the liquidity event can happen when that token lists, and we've got the ability to either hold or sell, or sell some of it. So that all helps build resources within Coinsilium to grow, and you sort of can scale up that way around. So hopefully that's helpful. Eddie, if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think that sums it up well. That's fine.
Okay, good. Well, thank you both very much for your time today. We're just up on an hour there, but that's covered an awful lot. Hopefully that answers a few questions and for Coinsilium and investors. Hopefully, Malcolm or Eddie, it's not the last time we speak for a while. I would like to do a bit more deep diving into some of the projects there that you've got going, understand them a bit more, and of course, hopefully, follow lots of news flow developments, particularly if we're going into quite a bull market for crypto. But thank you very much both for today.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.